morning and welcome to Tito the Troddler, and if you've clicked on this video to find out what gear to take on your next wild camping adventure, you have come to the right place. So all I can ask is, please can you subscribe to the channel and also click the bell so it notifies you about my videos, and hopefully I can keep on making great content for you. So what's this video about? This video is about really all the gear that I take with me on my various camping trips. So I've got quite a different number of setups and different gear I take with me. So basically these videos, because it might have to be a couple of videos or even three, is all about what stuff I take and what works for me. Not getting paid for this, surprisingly enough, but hopefully it's quite informative and it gives you an idea of food for thought for what you might be able to take on your trips. Right, so without any further ado, we're going to start with stoves. So I currently own two stoves. The two stoves that I own are the MSR wind burner and the MSR pocket rocket. Both brilliant stoves, but for different reasons. So the great thing about the wind burner, it comes with this little cup at the bottom. You can also put a gas canister inside the middle for carrying purposes, and then you've got the reactor, the sort of burner that also packs into the titanium mug. So respect is that the biggest advantage about this wind burner is that it doesn't have just a straight flame that goes up. It sort of goes across this matrix, which makes it very, very difficult for it to blow out. So in high winds, it really does come onto its own, and there's less risk of it damaging your tent as well. It's really good. I take this stove when I'm going to go on a wild camp and I'm going to cook something. So if I'm cooking anything, I've got the pot and the frying pan that goes with the wind burner, so that's the one that I take. But if I'm not going to cook anything exotic and I'm just going to boil water for a dehydrated meal or teas and coffees, I take this there, which is the pocket rocket. And the pocket rocket's fantastic, boils water very quickly. I bought a wind shield that goes over the canister like that, so it protects the flame, so it makes it doesn't hardly ever blow out. And I've also got a couple of titanium mugs that I bought with. So I've got a bigger one now that I can boil rice in it or stewed meat, and I've got a smaller one for my water because I like to keep that separate. I don't like it to get tainted with food. So the big advantage of the pocket rocket over the wind burner is that it only weighs 73 grams and it only costs 55 quid. So it's pretty affordable really, and very packable. So it really does save you a fair bit of weight when you compare that to the wind burner, which the wind burner is actually 430 grams and costs about 160 quid-ish. So that stoves, they're both brilliant. I can highly recommend both. I know there's also lots of other good stoves out there. I don't think there's a lot between MSR and Jet Boils, for example, but you know, you pay your money, you take your chance. But they're my two, and I think they're both ace. Right, the next thing I've got to talk about is my stove lighter, which is a Soto Pocket Torch XT. This is fantastic because it's got an extendable sort of arm, and it was a real powerful blue light, brilliant for lighting your stove or anything else for that matter. It really is brilliant. It's obviously just fill it up with lighter fuel before you go. I sometimes take a spare lighter with me, but I've never ever needed it because that thing is so good. So yeah, highly recommend the Soto Pocket Torch XT. Brilliant bit of kit, and it's 46 grams and about 20 quid, so certainly not bad value at all. So next up I've got my tent torch, and the tent torch that I've got is the Fenix CL20R, and this is a great little tent torch. Only weighs 91 grams, costs about 40 quid. It's got various different light settings. So I think there's 3 or 4 different settings of white light that's quite bright, and then also there's it does go on to it flashes, and it also has a red light as well. Can't make it work, but it's got a red light as well. But absolutely fabulous. And on my last wild camp, when I had to evacuate at 3 o'clock in the morning, the actual head torch that I'd taken with me, I'd run out of battery, so this was a fantastic backup, and it got me down off the fells really well. So it's always good to have something as a backup. But yeah, it's lithium ion. It charges before you go, and it stays, I think it's got 16 hours charge time on it, so it's absolutely fabulous. I recommend the Fenix CL20R. Right, next up we've got sleeping mats. I'm not going to take too long on this because I've done a separate video on my channel about sleeping mats, so you can check that out in my videos. But yeah, so to start off with, I've got 3 sleeping mats that I use, 2 more than the other really in all truthfulness. But the first one that I've got up is the Thermarest Uberlight. This is absolutely fantastic, really lightweight, brilliant for summer camping. It's 340 grams, so it's really packable and light. Costs about 200 quid, it's quite expensive, and it's got an R value, which is reflective value, so how much it keeps you warm, of 2.3, which is not that high, but in summer it really doesn't matter, and it's a fantastic, comfortable sort of sleeping mat, really lightweight. And then the big brother, if you want to call it that, which is more for winter camping, but can be used all year round as well, is the Thermarest Neo Air X-Therm. And I've gone for the sort of oblong shaped one rather than the round topped one, and this is absolutely fantastic. 640 grams, so weighs twice as much, and is about 210 quid. It's quite expensive, but it's got an R value of 7, and I can say I've been out in sort of like -5, -6, never ever felt the cold once. And then last but not least, if I'm feeling like my back's strong and I really want to take a risk, carry a bit more weight, I'll take this, which is the X-Bed Mega Mat Light. They don't even make this anymore. But it's a brilliant mat. The only downside to it is it's 1130 grams, and it's got an R value of about 5.5, I think. So brilliant, but quite bulky. And the other downside to it is I think when I bought it, well over £200. It was quite expensive. But the biggest downside, and the reason why it doesn't get used very much, is its weight. It really does. It is a chunky beast. But yeah, that's sleeping mats. Right, next up we've got rucksacks. So first of all I've got they're both Osprey rucksacks that I take with me. This one is the Osprey Aether Aether or Aether, I don't know which way, Aether 70, so it's a 7 litre rucksack. Fabulous because it's got its own sleeping bag compartment, so it's quite roomy. You can take lots and lots of gear with you. The only real big downside to this, and it's the reason why, to be honest with you, I think I'm going to let this one go, it's 2.7 kilo. I didn't even realise it that way. I thought it was about 2 kilo. It's 2.7. So when you have got it on your back, you can carry a lot of gear, but in some ways that's a bad thing because you end up with a really heavy pack. And when I went up to the Lake District before Christmas, I took this pack, and carrying that up to Red Tarn almost killed me. So I've got a feeling that might be on its way. I know my mate Boardman up in Scotland used to have one, and he got rid of his. So the other one that I've got, which is quite popular with wild campers, is the Osprey Exos 48, and this is a fantastic pack. Really lightweight. It's 1,270 grams, so nearly half the weight of the Ether 70. You can't get quite as much in it. And I think, same again, I think my mate Mr. Borman got the 58 version of this, and in hindsight I wish I'd got that. So what I might do is get rid of the Ether, get a 58, and then donate this to the wife, what have you. But I think the Ether is about 250 quid, and the Osprey, the Exos, is about £200. I mean, price of rucksacks and sleeping bags and lots of things has gone up dramatically over the last few years, and that's it. But Osprey, I think they're really good, and I really love the Exos 48. So yeah, that's the sleeping bags that I take. Right, the next one's the expensive one. This is tents, and I've got to admit, I've got a bit of I've indulged myself this last year or two. I've got 5 tents now, all fantastic, all for different reasons. I'm saying there's a justification for all of them. I think there is. So the first one that I can show you is the one that I've had the longest, which is the Scarp one from Tarp Tent. Love this tent, absolutely love this tent. It's so much room for a one-person tent, 2 vestibules. It's just perfect. It really is perfect. I've also modified this so it's even stronger. And if I'm being truthful, one of the tents that I'll show you later, which is the 4-season one-person tent, is roughly the same size but only has 1 vestibule. And I don't think I really needed it. I think this probably would have been enough, but yeah, I think it just offers a little bit more warmth. But that's the Scarp one. I've recently bought the 2-person version. Just to sort of say, the Scarp one is about 1.5 kilos. And the 2-person version is only 1.7 kilos. So there's nothing in it really. And they both come with cross poles that you can use, but you don't have to. You certainly only need them really in harsh conditions. And the cross poles had a couple of 100 grams onto it really. They're both about 500 quid with your import charges from America, but both fabulous tents. I've really bought into tarp tent, and you'll see because the third tent that I've got is also the tarp tent. This is called the Notch Li or Lee, whichever you prefer. And the reason I bought this is this is a one-man tent, but it's a lightweight tent. It's about 600 grams. It weighs absolutely nothing. It's Dyneema, Cuban fibre, or whatever they call it. And it really is lightweight. The only thing is it is very compact and bijou. I have also sort of modded this one as well, so but I haven't had it out since I modded it. But yeah, I like tarp tent. They're really good. But then I before Christmas, thanks to my family for my birthday, used my birthday money, and I got the Terra Nova Laser Compact AS. So this is a one-person 4-season tent which I've taken out, took it out in the storm the other week, and it did really well. I really like the tent. It's nice. It's dark, which is good. So it's like a sort of really dark green, but it's you know, good quality Terra Nova, really good. Like I said, I'm not sure I really needed it, but it's good to have that sort of like summer one person and winter one person. So that sort of ticks that box. And then last, but by no means least, I think the Notch, weight being Dyneema, is about £700, I'm afraid to say. So the two scarps are about 500 quid. Terra Nova's about 450 quidish, and the Notch Li is 700 quid. But that pales in insignificance compared to this lump. And this is the Hilleberg Alec 2, which is actually 3.3 kilos. So you've got to be going on a winter camp with this, and you've got to have somebody along with you carrying some of your loads for you to carry this tent. But what I will say is, this is a Rolls Royce of a tent, and when in harsh conditions, when it's snowing on or it's rough, this is just wonderful. It's so warm in winter, it really is, and there's just absolutely no way. It's a bomb-proof tent, I would say, under 99.9% of circumstances. But like I say, 3.3 kilo is the bit sometimes why it only goes out really when we need it. But yeah, so that's all my tents. I think that's enough for now, but you never know. Right, so next up I've got my pillow that I take with me. So this is the Sea to Summit Aero Premium, I think it is, or the extra large one. It's really comfortable. I really like it. I keep thinking about getting another one and sort of trying to see if there is an upgrade. A lot of people go for these packable ones that pack down, but they reckon they're really comfy, so I might get another one. But I've been really pleased with it. It serves me well. I'll just take a little bit of air out of it rather than filling it to full inflation. And it's got a deflation valve that you just pop and it deflates it in no time at all. But I think it's about 190 grams and it was about 40 quid, so it's neither here nor there. But really nice thing. I like, I'm a side sleeper, so I like something that's got a bit of firmness to it because it can hold my heavy head then. So yeah, that's my pillow. Right, the next thing that we've got is sleeping bags. So I take 2 sleeping bags with me. Well, not on each trip. I've got 2 bags that I alternate between. So the first one is the Mountain Equipment Glacier 700. Really warm sleeping bag. That's my winter sleeping bag. It weighs 1,240 grams. So quite heavy. Quite expensive. In fact, they're both expensive now. But sleeping mats, just like rucksacks and everything else, and tents, they are quite expensive. So I think this were about 380 quid or something like that. It was quite pricey, but really good. Never let me down. Goes down to about -15, so in winter conditions it really is the business. And then the other one that I bought is the Thermarest Hyperion 20, which goes down to -6, but I wouldn't really want to use it much under 0 degrees. What I will say is the massive advantage of this is it's only 580 grams, so it's so light, 600-700 grams lighter than the Mountain Equipment. I took it on my last camp with some liners, which I'm about to show you in a moment, and it performed brilliantly. So the Mountain Equipment for the really harsh conditions. Rest of the time it's the Hyperion 20. That's the one that I take with me. But yeah, both great bags. Love them both to bits. Right, so the next thing to supplement the sleeping bags, and I've taken them on both, and this is really, I mean, they both had weight to these things, so it's worth consideration this, but it gives you options, does this, and it means that you can be comfortable at all times. So I've got 2 liners I've got the Sea to Summit reactor, and I've also got the Rab Silk, and they're both brilliant. The reactor, they reckon it adds about 5 or 6 degrees to your bag. I'm not quite sure about that, but it certainly does make a difference. It certainly means that you're really warm. So when I was in the Hyperion the other week, I had both liners were inside both liners, and when I got it over my head, I was absolutely like toast. It was fantastic. So the reactor weighs about 248 grams, costs about 50 quid-ish, but really, really good. And then for warmer conditions where you don't need the reactor, just taking the Rab Silk, which is a really thin one, but still keeps you pretty warm. Certainly in summer months, it's great. Also good for keeping your bag clean, and that's only 137 grams. And same again, it's about 50 quid. But I'm a big fan of liners. I think they're really, really good. And like I say, it gives you options. And if you take the big, the winter sleeping bag with the 2 liners, I've had it in at -6, and it's been absolutely perfect. So yeah, it's worth saving up and buying good sleeping bags. And sleep setup is very important. So your ground mat with a good R value, your sleeping bag that will keep you warm, because there's nothing worse than being cold. So yeah, I'll recommend you save up or ask people to buy them at Christmas, because it's worth it and they'll pay you back. And also, if you look after them, they do last a long time. Right, so next we have is we've got this is a brilliant little thing. This was recommended to me by Gary Cook, who's a guy I've gone wild camping with sometimes, and Gary's a great guy, and he put me onto this, and it's a Unigear hand warmer, and it goes up to about 50 degrees Celsius, and only weighs 137 grams, and it's absolutely magic. So I used to take a little mini water bottle, but really since I've started using this, it's a lot better. And what you can do is just pop it in your sleeping bag when you get into it. Just put it on for 10 minutes. It lasts for ages as well, and it's just brilliant. Really, really like it. It's only about 25-30 quid, and like I said, not a lot of weight. And the other good thing about it is it's got a charger, so if for any reason your battery pack dies or all like that, you've got another way of charging your devices. So really like that. The Unigear hand warmer, highly, highly recommend it. Thank you, Gary, much appreciated. Right, so last but not least, for part 1 of this video, we'll do part 2 another day. But the last, by no means least, my spork. But this isn't just any spork. This is a very special spork because it's called a Tito spork. I mean, how good's that? You know what I mean? Somebody's named it after me, clearly. They must have done. So, yeah, but when you've got dehydrated meals, a long spork is just absolutely invaluable. And really, more or less, unless you can have steak, take steak with you, you don't need a knife and fork, you just need that. So, yeah, I love my spork. So that's the end of part 1. I've got the second half to do, which I will do as soon as I possibly can. But I hope you've enjoyed watching. And like I said at the beginning of the video, if you could subscribe, that'd be very, very much appreciated. And I look forward to seeing you next time. I hope you found it informative. Take care and speak to you soon. Thank you.